Ancient Gods, Part 1, Mesopotamia and Egypt. Thousands of years before modern religions existed, humans looked up at the stars, the sun, the river, and the storms, and believed that powerful beings controlled them all. They called them gods. From the fertile lands of Mesopotamia to the golden sands of Egypt, these early civilizations built temples, told myths, and offered sacrifices to please their divine rulers. In this episode, we'll explore the mysterious world of ancient gods, where myths met reality and belief shaped the destiny of nations. Let's start with the world's oldest civilization, Mesopotamia. The cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia means the land between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. It's located in modern-day Iraq, where cities like Babylon, and Nineveh once stood proud. The people here, Sumerians, Akkadians, Assyrians, and Babylonians, believed life was a fragile gift from the gods. Rain, harvest, and even health depended on divine moods. If gods were happy, people prospered. If gods were angry, floods, droughts, or diseases followed. Temples called ziggurats were built at the heart of every city, massive step towers reaching toward the heavens. To the people of Mesopotamia, gods lived above, and the higher they built, the closer they were to them. The gods of Mesopotamia. At the top of their divine family stood Anu, the god of the sky, ruler of all deities, symbol of power and kingship. Below him was Enlil, the god of air and storms, feared for his temper and respected for his authority. He was said to control destiny itself. Then came Enki, or Ea, god of water, wisdom, and creation. Unlike Enlil, Enki was kind and clever, a trickster god who often helped humanity. It's said that Enki created humans from clay, mixed with the blood of a fallen god to serve the divine. And there was Inanna, also known as Ishtar, goddess of love, war, and fertility. Her story is filled with passion and tragedy. In one myth, she descends into the underworld, facing death itself only to rise again, a symbol of rebirth and resilience. Mesopotamian gods weren't perfect. They argued, loved, betrayed, and even punished each other. To the people, their gods behaved just like humans, only far more powerful. The flood story in Gilgamesh. One of Mesopotamia's most famous tales is the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest written stories in human history. It tells the story of Gilgamesh, a mighty king who seeks immortality after his friend Enkidu dies. In his journey, he meets Utnapishtim, a man who survived a great flood sent by the gods to destroy mankind. Sound familiar? Yes, this ancient flood myth existed long before the story of Noah. It shows how deeply Mesopotamian people believed that gods controlled human fate, and that no mortal could ever escape death. Gilgamesh's final lesson was simple yet powerful. Immortality belongs only to the gods, while humans must find meaning in the short time they have. Transition to Egypt. While Mesopotamia looked to the rivers for survival, another great civilization was rising along a different river, the Nile. And in Egypt, the gods were everywhere, time in the sky, the sand, and the soul. Egypt. Ancient Egypt was built on faith in the afterlife. For the Egyptians, life was just one step in a much longer journey that continued beyond death. Their gods were symbols of nature, balance, and eternal order, a harmony they called Ma'at. Pharaohs, the kings of Egypt, were seen as living gods, children of the sun god Ra, ruling by divine right. The gods of Egypt. At the center of Egyptian belief stood Ra, the sun god, creator of all life. Every sunrise was his victory over darkness. Every sunset, his descent into the underworld. Ra sailed across the sky in a golden boat by day and through the world of the dead by night, fighting evil forces to rise again. Then came Osiris, the god of death, resurrection, and the afterlife. He ruled the underworld and judged the souls of the dead. According to legend, Osiris was murdered by his jealous brother Set, then resurrected by his loving wife Isis, the goddess of magic and motherhood. Their son Horus, with the head of a falcon, avenged his father and became the symbol of kingship. Every pharaoh was believed to be the earthly form of Horus. And then there was Anubis, the black jackal-headed god of mummification, who guided souls after death. He weighed each heart against a feather, the symbol of Ma'at, truth and justice. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul was granted eternal peace. If not, it was devoured forever. Beliefs and meanings. For Egyptians, death was not an end, it was a beginning. They built giant pyramids, tombs, and mummies not out of fear, but out of hope, the hope of eternal life under the care of Osiris. Unlike the unpredictable gods of Mesopotamia, Egyptian gods offered order and stability. They represented light over darkness, life over chaos, and the belief that the universe was meant to stay in perfect balance. From Mesopotamia's stormy skies to Egypt's golden sands, the ancient gods shaped how humans first imagined power, life, and destiny. These myths weren't just stories. They were the world's first attempts to explain existence itself. And in the next part, we'll travel to ancient Greece, where gods walked among men and heroes defied fate. Part 2. The Greek Pantheon. The beginning of the gods. Before the gods we know today, there were the Titans, powerful beings who ruled the universe. At the dawn of time, there was only chaos and endless void. From chaos came Gaia, the earth, Uranus, the sky, and Tartarus, the deep underworld. Gaia and Uranus gave birth to the Titans, mighty beings like Cronus, Rhea, and Oceanus, but soon a prophecy foretold that one of Cronus's children would overthrow him. To stop this, Cronus swallowed each of his newborns whole, until his wife Rhea hid their last son, Zeus, on the island of Crete. When Zeus grew up, he forced Cronus to vomit out his siblings and led a massive war, the Titanomachy, that ended with the Titans' defeat. From that day on, Zeus and his brothers ruled the universe, dividing it among themselves. The three brothers. After their victory, the three brothers chose their realms. Zeus, ruler of the sky and king of the gods, Poseidon, god of the sea, Hades, god of the underworld. Together they maintained the balance of the world, though not always peacefully. Zeus ruled Mount Olympus with thunder in his hand. Poseidon controlled the raging seas, and Hades reigned silently over the dead below. The Greeks believed these three brothers represented the ultimate powers of life: air, water, and death itself. Zeus, king of the gods. Zeus was the god of the sky, thunder, and justice. He was known for his wisdom and leadership, but also for his many love affairs with both mortals and goddesses. His power came from his lightning bolt, symbolizing authority and divine order. To the Greeks, Zeus was both protector and punisher. When humans disobeyed divine law, Zeus's wrath came as thunder, storms, or disaster. But when they prayed, he listened, watching over kings, warriors, and travelers alike. Poseidon, god of the sea. Poseidon, Zeus's brother, ruled the oceans with his trident. He could calm the seas or unleash monstrous storms with a single strike. He was fierce, unpredictable, and deeply connected to horses and earthquakes. Sailors prayed to Poseidon before voyages, fearing his temper but respecting his power. He represented the wild nature of the sea, beautiful yet dangerous, calm yet deadly. Hades, god of the underworld. Hades, often misunderstood, wasn't an evil god. He ruled over the realm of the dead, the underworld, not as a devil, but as a keeper of balance. His kingdom was divided into sections: the peaceful fields for the good, and the dark pits of Tartarus for the wicked. Hades rarely left his world, but one story defines him: his love for Persephone. He kidnapped her to be his queen, and when her mother Demeter, the goddess of harvest, mourned, the earth turned barren. Zeus finally intervened, allowing Persephone to spend half the year with her mother, spring and summer, and half with Hades, autumn and winter. This myth explained the changing of seasons, a poetic way to describe life and death in nature. The Olympian gods. Beyond the three brothers, Mount Olympus was home to 12 major gods, the Olympians. Among them were Athena, goddess of wisdom, war strategy, and courage. Born from Zeus's head, she symbolized intelligence over violence. Apollo, god of music, light, and prophecy, the divine artist and healer. Artemis, goddess of the hunt and the moon, protector of women and nature. Ares, god of war, representing the brutal side of battle. Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty, born from the sea foam. Hermes, messenger of the gods, guiding souls and delivering fate. Hephaestus, god of fire and craftsmanship, who forged the weapons of Olympus itself. Each god had temples, festivals, and followers who worshipped them across Greece. To the Greeks, the gods weren't distant. They were part of daily life. Every storm, victory, or harvest was believed to be their will. Greek myths and humanity. Greek mythology wasn't just about gods. It was about humans trying to understand destiny. Heroes like Hercules, Perseus, and Odysseus showed how courage and wisdom could defy fate, even when the gods tested them. Every myth carried a lesson. Pride leads to downfall. Courage brings glory, and wisdom conquers chaos. For ancient Greece, myths were more than stories. They were the moral compass of their world. The Greek gods reflected everything human: love, anger, jealousy, and justice. They were powerful yet flawed, immortal yet emotional, mirrors of the people who believed in them. From the shining peak of Olympus to the dark depths of Hades, Greek mythology built the foundation for art, literature, and even modern storytelling. And in our next episode, we'll journey to ancient Rome, where the gods of Greece were reborn with new names, new power, and a new empire behind them. Part 3. Roman and Norse Pantheon. Roman gods. Ancient Rome admired Greek culture, but gave its gods new names and slightly different personalities. Jupiter replaced Zeus as the king of the gods. Neptune took over Poseidon's role, controlling the seas. Pluto ruled the underworld, echoing Hades. Mars, god of war, was more revered than his Greek counterpart Ares, representing military strength and strategy. Venus, goddess of love and beauty, mirrored Aphrodite but became central to Roman culture and politics. Romans believed gods influenced everything, from harvest to battles, from laws to family life. Festivals, temples, and sacrifices kept the gods happy, ensuring Rome's success. Roman myths. Roman myths often focused on duty, honor, and destiny. Stories like Aeneas, a Trojan hero, emphasized loyalty to the gods and duty to the state, a reflection of Roman values. Unlike Greek myths, which celebrated personal heroism, Roman stories often celebrated obedience to divine order. Norse gods. Now we travel to the cold, dark lands of Scandinavia. The Norse gods lived in Asgard, a realm connected to Earth by the Rainbow Bridge Bifrost. Unlike the structured Olympians, Norse mythology was darker, focused on war, fate, and the end of the world. Key gods included Odin, the All-Father, god of wisdom, war, and death. He sacrificed his eye for knowledge and constantly sought to understand the future. Thor, god of thunder, protector of gods and humans, wielded the mighty hammer Mjolnir. Loki, the trickster god, caused chaos and mischief, sometimes helping the gods, sometimes threatening them. Freya, goddess of love, fertility, and war, was both beautiful and deadly, a powerful figure in Norse myths. Norse myths. Norse mythology is filled with epic battles and doom. The gods knew their end, a prophecy called Ragnarok, the apocalypse where gods and giants clash, and the world is destroyed and reborn. Despite their power, the gods were mortal in a sense. They fought, suffered, and sometimes died, teaching that even the mighty are not eternal. Humans were deeply connected to these gods. Norse myths explained natural disasters, seasons, and moral lessons in courage, honor, and loyalty in the face of inevitable fate. Comparison. Greek gods, emotional, interactive with humans, heroes challenged fate. Roman gods borrowed Greek gods, more disciplined, tied to duty and law. Norse gods, fierce, warlike, aware of their mortality, focused on fate and cycles of life and death. All three cultures used mythology to explain the unexplainable, inspire courage, and pass down cultural values through stories. From Rome's disciplined gods to the icy might of Odin and Thor, mythology shows us how humans have always tried to understand the world. Through stories, gods, and epic adventures. In our next episode, we'll explore the decline of ancient gods, how monotheism and new religions replace these old beliefs. Yet their stories live on in art, literature, and movies today. Like, subscribe, and comment which god or story fascinated you the most. Ancient myths aren't just old tales, they're the foundation of modern imagination. Part 4, Decline and Legacy. Why ancient gods declined. Across civilizations, humans started asking new questions. Why do we suffer? Is there one ultimate power behind everything? In Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, religious systems were complex. Dozens of gods, overlapping roles, and countless rituals. As societies became more urbanized and connected, people sought simpler, universal explanations. Philosophers, prophets, and thinkers began teaching that one God, eternal and all-powerful, ruled everything. This shift marked the slow decline of polytheism, where multiple gods once governed natural and human life. Rise of monotheism. Monotheism began to spread widely, with religions like Judaism emphasizing one God, justice, and moral law. Christianity teaching love, forgiveness, and salvation through a single divine being. Islam, emphasizing submission to Allah and clarity in moral guidance. Unlike ancient gods, these religions didn't rely on myths of battles, storms, or trickery. Instead, they offered a clear moral path, universal truth, and eternal promise, which attracted growing populations across continents.
How polytheism survived in culture.
Even as belief in old gods declined, their stories never disappeared. Greek and Roman myths influenced art, sculptures, frescoes, and mosaics, literature, epics, plays, and poems, modern entertainment, movies, books, and video games. Norse myths inspired Viking legends, poetry, and modern fantasy stories, characters like Odin, Thor, and Loki in comic books and movies. So while people stopped worshipping these gods, the myths became cultural treasures, shaping imagination for thousands of years. Lessons from ancient gods. What can we learn from these old gods? 1. Human nature reflected in gods. Emotions, mistakes, courage, and love. 2. Explaining the unknown. Before science, myths explain storms, seasons, and life's mysteries. 3. Storytelling power and the myths passed morals, culture, and values across generations. Even today, we use these stories to inspire creativity, reflect on human behavior, and connect with history. Cultural impact today. Ancient gods continue to influence movies like Thor, Clash of the Titans, and Percy Jackson. Modern literature, from fantasy novels to graphic novels. Video games that bring mythology to life, teaching history in interactive ways. Even though people no longer worship these gods, their legacy endures. A reminder of how humans once viewed the world and how imagination shapes our culture. The rise of monotheism changed the world forever, but the ancient gods are not forgotten. From the rivers of Mesopotamia to the peaks of Olympus and the halls of Asgard, their stories still inspire wonder, creativity, and lessons about life, power, and human nature. If you've enjoyed this journey through the myths of the past, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. In the next series, we might explore mythology and modern culture, how ancient gods live on in movies, games, and literature today. Thanks for watching, and remember, myths are more than stories. They're the mirror of humanity,